Okay, so I cut myself off or I got cut off, I'm not sure which. Um, we're spiritual beings, human beings, in a physical body, in a physical matrix reality. And we are all connected, as I always say, to other human beings only. But we are now also connected, well, we should only be connected to other real human beings. In other words, human beings who are not so much of the matrix, because the matrix is non spiritual or of a different type of spirituality, if you want to, if you want to take it that way, because I don't want to upset or offend or say that people are not spiritual, because you might consider, I might consider you not spiritual, you might consider me not spiritual, and you'd be closer to the truth, because I have never been spiritual in my life. By that I mean that I have not believed in anything, and have not believed in anything except the tangible physical reality. But either way, like I say, spirituality can be different for each person, because different people might believe in different gods, different idea of what they think the world is meant to be, what it is, etc. It's all how you really think about your world and yourself. So I'm sounding as though I know what I'm talking about here, and I don't. But the previous video saying that I wonder if we would see our world and ourselves the same way if we didn't take in so much information, and whether that is a good or a bad thing, it is not for me to say. But also, I would have to add that if you're living in an earth, a matrix, whether you think it's natural or artificial. I'm happy for people to say whatever they think about it. Obviously, I think certain things about it, but what I think, it doesn't matter. You can still think this same way. It's still a matrix, I say, even if this world is 100% natural, even if it is everything you are told it is, which of course I don't think it is, but you know, obviously, when I say it's like an enclosed, insane prison, asylum, maximum security, that's not how most people would see this world. But that's my way of looking at it, because I don't like, probably, or anti I find anti-life a lot of the things that are in this world. But like I say, even if you think that it's what you're told and you believe it's a totally natural world, and you are still totally natural, because I find that hard to believe too, because I would be the first to admit that I want everything to be natural, and I think that I've stressed this. Everything not technical, everything away from technology, everything natural means that you go to the best that you can be, in my view of things. But I would have to say that it is hard to be natural in a world that, even if you think it is still a natural earth, you could not honestly say, I don't think anyone could say, that the world itself operates naturally anymore. Just the fact that I'm using a mobile phone is evidence of that. You don't eat everything that's natural. You don't you don't use everything in yourself that is natural. You use technology. I could use. The trouble is, if you listen to me, I will sound like a rat bag, to be quite frank. And I don't blame you, because I would have probably said the same thing, and there's some truth to it. Because if you take it to a very big extreme, and I do this deliberately for the videos to make a point, okay? So I do this deliberately to make a point. So if I sort of say, oh, a car is technology, and it is, you know, and I don't think that any technology is a benefit to an authentic, original, spiritual human being. Not if they want to be at their highest spiritual level. That's just I have to emphasize that and have to make that a strong point and have to take it to the extreme to make the point. Even low, of course, that would be impossible. It would be, well, nothing would be impossible, but, I'm not, I would use these things myself. They are a necessity in our world now. So, like most people would think that I would be saying, let's go back to the Dark Ages. And I'm just going to say this and go out on a limb here because I know that it is not an accepted way to look at the world. And most people would be horrified by the thought, just as they are horrified by no education, like I'm in the previous video, horrified by letting us just be. They would think, oh, you want us to be just savages and to go back to the Dark Ages, do you? Yes, I do. Okay. So, you can laugh. And because, you see, that's just what my fantasy way of looking at humans and myself now is. Of course, I can't do it myself, so you'd say, well, you should at least practice what you preach. So my whole argument, or not argument, or idea, shall we say, whatever you want to say, theory about life, it's not a theory. It's just saying that we've gone too far. Because I'm saying that, because I'm just trying to, at least, I'm not really changing what I say here, because I'm saying that if we are at our very lowest limited level, of course then if you cannot walk and get round, if your legs are not great, you're going to need a wheelchair, because we are cripples. Human beings are now, as I said this I think in one of my first videos before I even understood the Matrix, as well as what I do now. I was almost still in the dark, but I was aware that our dependency on technology were making us mental invalids. That was my exact words. And it's the same physically. Everything makes you an invalid. I am a mental, physical, and spiritual cripple invalid. And that spiritual thing, which I never even believed in, because really, when I say spiritual, it is just saying that we are not, because we are limited, because physically and mentally we are limited. That spiritual thing is really like I can't even explain it. It's just like saying that we should know more. But of course we know everything because we're in the Matrix and we're given information by the technology. We know everything. No, I'm saying we know nothing. But if we were in a natural environment, away from all of this, and I'm stretching it here, yes, I'm going out on a limb. Because, and the reason I'm saying this now is because although it appears impossible, and it indeed is impossible in a way, I personally think this is only my own fantasy, but it has some evidence, but it's whether you want to go with it or not. I'm going with it, okay. I really am going with it. I would bet my life on some of these things. But they are fairy tales for most people. But, a lot of people would bet their life on what they believe in too, and I would laugh at some of their things, So life is a bit like that. And I've not believed in anything most of my life. I've only believed in the real physical world. But either way, yes, if we were able, the spirituality really, it's not religious. It could be. It could be in the sense that if the reality is that, you are, you were created by something else, well, then, of course, then you could bring a God, or, whereas I say we are, I've said before, we are in a matrix with a matrix God. That's another thing, because I don't, I do go in the opposite direction to where I say, hey, we are in an environment that we do not belong in, because this is a technological environment, this is an artificial domain, and even if it was still halfway natural, it is still now so, it is still a